more difficult.
She's having a baby and a breakdown.
Morning, Shirley. Type, please.
But so are all her friends.
You know me, Frank. I have sex about as often as we get a Democrat for president. I was a walking time bomb.
Is anyone on her side?
What happens when your face gets like a cassava melon and we have to use the jaws of life to get you out of the anchor chair?
See if this is the birth of the blues on the next Murphy Brown.
Murphy Brown, Monday at 7:30, only on 13.
From all the news photographers.
Have a nice 93.
The whole house shook. My bed shook. I thought it was an earthquake. But then the sirens went off and I knew something was big.
Well, I'm still staying by my innocence, and I'm very disappointed at the outcome of the trial, that's all.
This here, I would say, is one of the worst storms we've had, I think, since '78. It's a bad day today.
We believe that our presence here, working with the local people of Western New York, is going to lend to the saving of lives.
You know, our younger kids, you know, I don't think that they really understand the significance of what's going on right now.
When I come home and I see how much these people care and how good they are, it's pretty incredible.
This is our income for this year. It's, you know, it's all gone, plus all the expense we put in it already.
That's the life of a farmer, I guess.
Being home will make a difference where she can really get a lot of rest and attention and just herself know that she did it.
Say hi.
We heard a big loud crash and turned around and saw a big puff of smoke and lots of plastic flying all over the place. We didn't find out till later that it was two helicopters that had crashed.
I've been sheriff here since 1973, and I can't recall anything that is as tragic as this.
This election is a clarion call for our country to face the challenges of the end of the Cold War and the beginning of the next century.
We're going there as a team effort to help the Somalian people, specifically the starving people.
This is a News Source 13 special presentation. A view of 92. Now, here's Don Alhart.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. One glance at the calendar says it all. Time is running out on another year, so it's time again to take a look at where we've been. The moments we'll remember right on through the years to come. We begin a view of 92 with a look at the events that had us all talking. The triumphs and the tragedy.
I think we were living in Beirut or someplace, the way it looks.
Barely a day into 1992, a fiery explosion changed the lives of people living in the small Wayne County community of Ontario Centre.
The fire was gas-fed mainly because of the fire intensity and like that, and it has a tendency to rupture lines. So that was what our major problem was right there, was the gas feed.
Hours later, 3 buildings are reduced to a vacant, smoldering lot, and the bodies of 2 victims are removed. Rescue crews say Christian Caruana and her boyfriend never had a chance. Rochester's former police chief received a chance to prove his innocence. But after nearly a month of testimony, a jury found Gordon Urlacher guilty of taking money from a police evidence fund.
I feel that we had a good case. The verdict not only disappoints me, it surprises me.
Urlacher was later sentenced to 4 years in prison and is serving that time in North Carolina.
Open! This clinic is open! This clinic is open!
In April, all eyes turned to Buffalo as activists on both sides of the abortion issue went toe-to-toe. Operation Rescue brought its crusade to Western New York, targeting a handful of clinics where abortions are performed.
And I believe that if this cause saves one life, then it's worth it.
The clinics aren't closed. People are coming in. We're getting our job done. These people, I don't think, will ever claim victory.
Hundreds of protesters were arrested. The clinics remained opened, and most would agree that few minds were changed on either side of this controversial issue. Anger over the Rodney King beating verdict in Los Angeles spilled out violently onto the streets of Rochester. Swarms of teenagers converged on downtown, smashing windows, assaulting bystanders, even overturning a police van. In all, 17 people were arrested. Summertime brought forth the climax to a murder case locally that received national attention. Lori Kellogg was accused of plotting the death of her husband, Bruce, while he slept at his Cayuga Lake cottage. Admitted triggerman Denver McDowell told police that Kellogg took advantage of a relationship they shared, coercing him into shooting her husband. A jury agreed, convicting Kellogg of murder.
No one should have to die at this age.
By the end of August, Bobby Matello was looking forward to starting the 7th grade. But that would not happen. The 12-year-old from Seneca County died from a bullet wound to the head. Police say at the hands of his own father. Michael Matello would never get his day in court. He died just this month from an apparent heart attack. Tourists to Niagara Falls witnessed more than they bargained for. 2 sightseeing helicopters collided in midair, killing 4 people. The tragedy has prompted both the American and Canadians to limit air traffic around the falls. Many people thought it only happened in the big cities. But in October, a deadly brand of random violence struck the small community of Watkins Glen. A gunman, angry over child support payments, walked into the Schuyler County office building. He opened fire, killing 4 women. Police confronted the man inside.
I was wondering if this would be the first day on my job that I'd have to shoot somebody.
They watched as John Miller turned the gun on himself. He died while en route to the hospital. It is a scene that strikes terror in the hearts of any parent. A city school bus, on its side, struck broadside by an oncoming fire truck. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt, thanks in large part to the heroic efforts by people who witnessed that crash.
A couple of us who were in the bus, we don't know exactly when we got in the bus or how we got in the bus, so you just want to be helpful.
In all, 35 people were injured, including 4 firefighters. In November, voters went to the polls in near record numbers, giving both political parties reason to celebrate. Local Democrats toasted their first president in 12 years. Meanwhile, local Republicans reclaimed control of county government. And as winter snow began falling, thoughts of nearby soldiers shifted to the sands of Somalia. Thousands of troops shipped out from Fort Drum earlier this month. They'll spend this holiday season taking part in Operation Restore Hope, a fitting responsibility, they say, in a season known for giving. Unlike Operation Desert Storm nearly 2 years ago, the effort in Somalia has drawn little controversy. But you don't need to look far this year to find controversy. Anytime a single decision is made that impacts so many in our community, disagreements are bound to happen. And disagreements did happen this year. The Reverend Jane Spar is no stranger to controversy. The lesbian minister spent most of 1992 fighting to retain her appointment as co-pastor of a local church. It is her lifestyle that divided our area's Presbyterian community, but it was the top judicial body of the church that ultimately denied her appointment.
When you know this in your being, and people know you can't do it, there's something inside you can't sleep at night.
Spar says she'll continue to fight the church's position on gays and lesbians. Should women be allowed to go top free? Supporters say a ruling this year makes the answer to that question yes. The State Court of Appeals ruled that nudity laws should not apply to topless women whose behavior is not considered lewd.
We must treat people equally, and this shouldn't be such a shock to people, and that my behavior won't change as much other than that I will wave to the police officers now and smile.
But prosecutors say it may not be that easy, claiming that the new ruling raises more questions than it does answers. Lawmakers got an earful this year by people demanding a civilian review board. They say allegations of civil rights abuse prove someone needs to be policing our police. City Council granted their wish, but that controversy lingers. Critics say the newly approved panel lacks the power to make a serious impact. Where to build a new stadium for the Red Wings? The battle between three sites, one in Avon, one in Victor, and another downtown, has been overshadowed by the battle of three lawmakers. Mayor Tom Ryan, Assemblyman David Gant, and County Executive Bob King each favored different sites within the city. That has baseball lovers wondering whether the selection of a single site will ever be a hit with everyone involved. A plan to shoot deer in Irondequoit is a step closer to reality, despite some public outcry.
And I'm telling you, like I did 14 years ago, there is no problem. The deer are no problem.
Again, they're beautiful creatures. I don't want to kill them, but we must do something.
County lawmakers have agreed to amend a parks law, allowing sharpshooters to kill dozens of deer in Durand-Eastman Park. Their overpopulation is being blamed on a variety of problems, including an increase in car-deer accidents. There's more to come on A View of 92, including a closer look at a story for all seasons.
Oh, this came fast. Well, I'm telling you, I never seen it come so fast as it was yesterday. It was bad, very bad.
Tonight's News Source 13 special is brought to you by Chase, your local Chevrolet Geo dealers, Burger King, and Preferred Care.
Chase recognizes what can be accomplished when we work together. Chase reminds you that America works when it works together. At Chase, we urge you to join with your neighbors and make a difference as together we celebrate America. Your local Chevrolet Geo dealers join with you in treasuring the beauty of our country. Want to take a little time today to cherish the beauty of our land? And join with us at your Chevrolet Geo dealers to help preserve it for tomorrow. Your local Chevrolet Geo dealers urge you to make protecting our environment a personal goal as we celebrate America. Preferred Care wants you to stand up and be counted. All too often, it seems as if no one cares about what we as individuals think. But there's a time when each of us has the power to make our wishes known. Next. Preferred Care urges you to celebrate America by taking advantage of every opportunity to make your opinions count. Care, we believe voting is everyone's right and responsibility.
Welcome back. One story has drawn much community attention this year because it is frighteningly reminiscent of another time. The disappearance and deaths of area women is again raising concern that a serial killer may be at work. It is a scenario we all remember well. Nearly 3 years ago, the image of Arthur Shawcross began appearing on our local TV screens. Our first look at the man later convicted for the murders of 11 area women. Crimes difficult to believe, let alone be repeated. But now many are asking, could it be happening again? Is Rochester home to yet another serial killer? This year alone, there have been 7 unsolved slayings of area women, many linked to drugs and prostitution. The families of those victims can't help but wonder if there isn't one person responsible.
You know, you kind of feel like you don't want to think the worst, but yet you can't make that feeling go away.
Johnson's daughter, Victoria, is the latest victim. Her body discovered just this month near some railroad tracks in the city. Police have declined to publicly link any of the deaths.
For me to sit here and tell you that we have a serial
killer out there, without the facts, without any evidence, would be as irresponsible as any public official could be. And I'm very sincere about that word.
Jobson's death was reportedly caused by multiple stab wounds, unlike many of the other women who died of strangulation. But one similarity will always remain: the grief that lingers for loved ones left behind. The arrest and conviction of Rochester serial killer dominated the news in 1990. A year later, the devastation caused by an ice storm made us powerfully aware of just what nature can do. When it comes to Rochester weather, a synonym might well be unpredictable. This year has certainly been no exception. This scene is not so out of the ordinary if you've lived in Rochester for any length of time, but what is so peculiar here is the timing. After a relatively mild stretch, winter returned with a fury, dumping a couple of feet of snow in our area in the middle of March.
It's incredible that it could be so nice yesterday and then it just turns so cold. It's just unbelievable.
But seeing is believing. During all of March, more than 38 inches of snow fell locally. That's almost 3 times above the average. On record, that translates into one of the snowiest months of March in area history. The unusual weather didn't end there. Winter's snow turned into summer's rain, resulting in a disastrous year for local farmers. Areas in Wayne County were among those to be hardest hit.
This is as bad as I've ever seen it. I've been here for 40 years plus, and I've really never seen it this bad.
You might just well laugh as cry about it. That's the life of a farmer, I guess.
Aid from the government is helping out farmers this year, but they say a little sunshine would also go a long way toward improving prospects for next season. And what about that wild night in November? A storm fueled by wind gusts approaching 70 miles an hour ripped through our area. It damaged buildings, pulled down trees, and left thousands without power. Still ahead on A View of 92, we'll take a look at some of the people who captured more than their share of attention this year.
I'm doing Man on the Streets here. What's it like that Terry Anderson is now home?
Well, I think it's pretty marvelous. I'm glad he decided to come home.
Preferred care.